Unfiltered Trainer podcast. I am your host, Gina, aka Gina Marie Fit. And y'all, how is it the third week of March? Like, what is happening right now? I literally am sitting here staring at this calendar I got, just in awe of like, where is life going? Like, why is it happening so fast? And at the same time, I feel like life is so slow. And it's one of those things where when you have something to look forward to and you're excited about it and it's taking longer than expected, that anticipatory like excitement just is like a whirlwind. So if you're new to the podcast, I am a healthcare worker. I am a personal trainer. Obviously, I am a podcast host, and my life is a double life right now. And so I, at the beginning of the year, quit my home health job. And I went PRN, which is like as needed. I set the hours on the days I'm available as we are building the flagship location for Tampa for body fit training. And if you've never heard of body fit training, it is what I've explained to people. It is elevated group strength training. And so it's way more innovative, way more progressive. The programming is so results driven. It's definitely way more intentional for group training than other group training things I've done before. The systems and the way the programming is done is very specific to the individual, but you still get the group benefit. And so we're building out the first location. We have been very patient. Building in the city of Tampa is really complex and it takes a lot longer than you would anticipate, because what's pretty incredible about Tampa right now is we are witnessing history being made. Like, this place is exploding. There are so many things happening at once. So many buildings are going up. And so it's a really cool time to be building this franchise, but it comes with a lot of delays. And so I'm personally just like ready to get back in studio, ready to be around our members and continue to build this business that has already been, honestly incredible just to see the development and just to know where it's coming. It's very exciting. And so I've been working from home for them, spending the other half of the week at the nursing home, treating patients. I still want to be able to treat patients in some capacity, even when I take on my full-time role with body fit training. I love working with the older population, so it's just not something I want to give up 100%. And as long as my schedule allows for it, I won't have to. And so I preface today's episode with the chaos that has always been my life, because I'm always somebody that wants to do a lot of things, with what has been a very highly requested episode. And it is the episode that talks about how to find work-life balance along with having fitness goals. And so I feel like I'm probably one of the best people to speak on this, and I will take you through the wild truth that has been my life ever, like always, and where I'm at now, and the fact that I have balance, which is something I never thought I would have. And so in college, if you guys have not heard a couple of the episodes, I was what you call an accelerated academic scholarship student. And so I had an academic scholarship based off of my grades, and I had to take 19 to 21 credits every semester. On top of that, I was playing soccer and I was working full-time. I had 2 part-time jobs that equated to working full-time on top of my caseload and on top of playing soccer. And so when you're young and like 18, 19 years old, getting up at the crack of dawn, going to practice, going to class all day, going back to lab at night, because I was a biology, psychology major. I would have labs in the evening, then going to the gym, working out, like whatever you had to do. I would be literally up before the sun rose and still up into the wee hours of the night. And I just like some days wouldn't sleep at all. The amount of like all-nighters I had to pull, because I worked at a restaurant for one of my jobs. And so that job ended at like 10, 11 o'clock. And so that kind of was the foundation for literally the insanity that has always been my life of juggling so many things. When I finished school, I became a traveling therapist and like picked up a PRN gig. Like, I've never had one job ever in my life, which is crazy. And I've never only done like one thing. I've always been volunteering, or when I started my online health and fitness business now, like over 10 years ago, started getting all my certifications. Like anytime I had downtime, I've always been the type that just wanted to fill it with ways of growth, things that increased my potential, challenged me. And so 6 months ago, almost now 7, when I was in the car accident, I really had to sit down with myself. And I talk about this in the last episode. I was struggling so much with my anxiety and depression last year that I really had to reevaluate my life. I was going down a very dangerous path because I was beyond burnout last year. And I'll explain this in this episode where like I do a lot now and I'm tired, but I'm not burnout. Last year I was burnout. I was over it. I was miserable, like did not find joy in anything I was doing, going through the motions. And that's one of the biggest triggers that like you are burnt out. And we talk about this later in this episode, but it was so unhealthy. And so for the first couple months after the accident, I wasn't really capable of doing much. And so I was working a modified schedule, and I shouldn't even be at work, which, is like a whole thing in itself. And one day we'll talk about that. But I just like told myself, you know what? Like we can't go back to what we were doing. You won't survive. And so my goal, I set a couple like funny goals. I don't want to say like, because they're not statistically measurable goals of success. I wanted to find work-life balance, and I wanted to fall in love with my life again. And so something that I've enabled myself to do is both of those things. And it's because I've established work-life balance. And so what we need to preface this episode before we get into like all the tangible things that we're going to talk about today is what constitutes a healthy balance of work and life. It's a personal matter. It's something that's going to be different for everybody, and it's going to truly depend on your individualized perception of what you want your life to look like. And so what's really difficult, and not honestly is always a good thing, is how tech-based the world is. Because of that, it's not easy to find balance because you're always attached to your phone or a TV or a news outlet. It's really hard to create silence and to remove yourself from situations. And so work-life balance, those are two very opposite opposing forces. And it's something that balance, and I use air quotes when I say that, we act as though there's some equilibrium that we can find between those things, which is truly a false narrative. What we have to really think about and change is our understanding of what balance really is. And again, balance is an individual perspective. Everybody looks at my life, and I can tell you how many times people have said, like, I don't know how you do it. And then in my head, I'm like, I don't know how you don't do it. Like I'm just not the type, the brain I have, I can't just be idle. I can't just work one job and do nothing. Like I do not operate like that. Like if I'm not working or doing something I enjoy, like a personal hobby, I'm volunteering, I just want to make the most of my time. And there's nothing wrong with either option. Honestly, that's what's so funny to me is that we try to force our standards and our feelings, our thought patterns, our processes onto other people. And that's really where this notion and this obsession with work-life balance comes from. Work-life balance, and specifically work-life fitness balance, you're using qualitative versus quantitative information. And so you're trying to find what this level of satisfaction is and happiness. And so you have to figure out who you are as a person. And this is probably not the direction you thought this podcast was going to go. We will get to the topics that will be very specific and obviously like very just like black and white about this. But you really have to figure out who you are and what do you take pleasure in your life? What makes you feel fulfilled? What are areas or things that you want to pursue that you haven't enabled yourself to find or make the time? This can't be an all or nothing thing. And I feel like that's the hard part about life is we too often make things seem like they are all or nothing. And we're doing ourselves such a disservice because done is always better than perfect. And you don't have to be all on your fitness goals, all on your work goals, all on your personal goals. Like there's going to have to be a way to ebb and flow. And so something I personally have learned over time is that if you try to do all of the things all of the time to a level of perfection that is not attainable, not only will you spiral, but you will burn the candle at both ends that you will end up ill. Part of my life that I have not talked a lot about is my health. I've had some pretty significant health issues over the course of like my 25 to 30 phase. And I obviously have, if you do not know this, I have a very severe form of IBS-C. It is progressive. It was progressive when I got diagnosed. And so stress is something that triggers me. And if it's not controlled, I get extremely ill and then cannot even hold any food down. And it's a whole just negative domino situation. It's like when you flick that domino and they all come crumbling down. I have learned the hard way what happens when you burn the candle at both ends and then light it on fire is what I always say, because it truly is detrimental to your health and to your existence. And so over time and with therapy, I have learned that that lifestyle is a quick means to an end. And so the things that have helped me are going to be the 7 little topics we talk about today. That is how I have got to the place that you see me today. And so something that's super important is writing out a detailed timeline schedule. And so I talked about this in another episode. The best thing you can do is write out a list of everything you have to do that day, right? But then make the list based off of priority. What absolutely has to get done? What's the fluff, the stuff that really doesn't matter? Then make that detailed timeline from those areas of priority. That is where you have your baseline foundation for where your life needs to go. And then you will see the windows, the pockets of time. That is where you're going to fill those pockets of time with your workout, with your hobby, going on a walk, calling a friend or a family member you haven't had time to talk to. You really have to start out in order to find work-life fitness balance, all of the things. You have to know what you're working with. If you're somebody like me who back in the day, when I did this, there was no time. There was no time for me to do anything I enjoyed. And that was the red flag, that I was doing more for others than I was doing for myself. And I was pursuing too many things that didn't necessarily reciprocate any value in my life. And at the time, I was in my not so fun stage of undereating and over-exercising. And exercise became a punishment. And what I learned is tip number 2. You need to find workouts that you enjoy. And you may make it a social event because you bring a friend along. But if you're somebody that is a high overachiever, who's doing a lot, and you still want to be social, you still want to work out, one of the best things that I have found is going to a workout class or working out with a friend and doing it with them in an environment you enjoy doesn't make it feel like it's work anymore. It doesn't make it feel like something you have to do. It makes it feel like something you want to do, that you get to do. And it's one of the most beneficial things you can do is find a sense of movement that you enjoy. When you find a workout you like, it changes your perspective on working out. It doesn't seem as much of a chore. And you'll notice that your cortisol levels don't have to raise as much because you won't be stressed out going to your yoga class because you're taking an hour out of your day. Instead, you focus on the fact that you get to honor your body, you get to do something for yourself, and you enjoy doing it. Number 3 seems so simple, but it's something that has helped me so much. And pack your gym bag in advance. The game changer for me for not skipping a workout when I was really, really busy was not only packing that gym bag, but packing bonus outfits because you are going to forget to restock your gym bag because you're busy, and keeping that bag in my car. So that way I didn't have to stop at home to get changed, wasting even more time. I would have my gym bag in the car, ready to go, pre-workout in the bag, and I would take my pre-workout on my way out of work. And by the time I got to class, I was good to go. And it was just a simple, easy step that alleviated a lot of time that was wasted driving home, getting changed, driving to the gym. It alleviated a lot of time in my schedule. Number 4, and it's a little woo-woo, but we love that stuff here. Write out a goal and inspiration list. And I don't mean a goal for work. If you're trying to find work-life balance, adding in this fitness component, what are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? Not what you're trying to look like for somebody else or the bullshit societal standards we have. You're not comparing yourself because you want to look like somebody else. What is inspiring you to pursue your fitness goals? What do you want to achieve as a result of what's inspiring you? That is what's going to help you determine how many days of a week do you need to work out. Because, shocker, you don't have to work out 5 or 6 days a week to get results. It's all about how intentional the programming is and how it aligns with those goals. Because if you're trying to get shredded, then it makes sense why you've increased your cardio, why the intensity of your workouts has changed. But if you're focused on more lifestyle goals, it doesn't make sense to be doing double workouts and pushing yourself past the point of exhaustion. There's seasons of life in many areas, and that includes your health and fitness journey. So first, recognize what season you're in terms of your health, your fitness, your personal life, your work life. And once you figure that out, write out those goals. Write out what's going to inspire you, what's going to keep you empowered. The motivation, it dies down long before you achieve your goals. You have to have that deep-seated reason that's going to fuel you on the days where you don't want to do it, which leads into number 5. And that is having a plan B and C, hell, maybe even plan D. What are you going to do when things go awry and your plan doesn't work and you start to struggle and things are out of your control? What are you going to do? You want to have alternative plans and methods for those plans in order so that you still achieve those goals. It just might be in a modified time frame. And so make sure that your plans have flexibility because y'all, if there's anybody that can tell you life is going to happen and it's going to happen a lot. And if you don't have a backup plan to your backup plan, it is very easy to get so defeated that you give up. You throw caution to the wind and you just stop caring altogether. Number 6, and this is for my fellow baddie business owners, people in leadership positions, y'all, learn to outsource and delegate. There is no reason why we have to do everything. And if you listen to the last episode, please, if you haven't, go back. I talk about the types of imposter syndrome, number 1 being your girl. Just because you know that if you did it, it would be done right the first time, does not mean that you have to do things all of the time. It's okay to delegate tasks and teach people how to get better and to properly and kindly critique them, give them constructive criticism, and help others get better. Number 7, y'all, and this might be the most important one of them all. So if you're not really paying attention, pause and pay attention. Prioritize your sleep. Do you know that your body repairs in your sleep? So if you're depleting yourself all day at work, you're killing yourself at the gym, then you're not even properly getting the amount of sleep you need to repair and recover. It is not rocket science, my friends, why you feel like shit, why your lifts are shit, why your quality of work has gone down, why you have brain fog, why you're bloated. Like, we have overcomplicated health and fitness in this country. We've made these unrealistic attainable goals because people are fake as can be on social media with their aesthetics, with all this work done. There's nothing wrong with getting work done. Just own the work you got done, because we're making it seem like these people that are having these crazy procedures are acting like they had nothing done and that this is natural, and that if you just worked harder and eat your protein, that your glutes would look like the way their glutes look. That's not the case. That's not realistic. And we really need to, as society, own your choices, own who you are. But don't put this falsified narrative out there that you attained your body by working out. Other than leaning your face out, what is lifting going to do to change your face? Nothing. You can change your body. You might lean out in your face. Your muscles might get a little bit tighter. You're going to lose fat. But let's be realistic. You see a lot of influencers on the internet, full face done, multiple procedures, had procedures with contouring on their body, and they don't admit to it. And then you have these young girls scrolling social media, saving these posts, wanting to be like the people on the internet. And the people on the internet don't look like the people on the internet. That's not what they look like. It just blows my mind that we can't be vulnerable and transparent and share the truth. And now people have this really skewed view of what's beautiful, as if you shouldn't look like you're aging. It's just so sad to me. And I told you guys, this is the Unfiltered Trainer for a reason. I'm going to say things and I'm going to say them in a very concise, blunt manner because that's how I am. And there's going to be tangents, but it's the truth. Why can't we just be happy with what we were given? Work to be healthier, happier versions of ourselves. Go to the gym because you love yourself, not because you hate yourself. Go to the gym because you want to live a life of quality as the years go by. Don't do it because you hate that you're aging. What's really important in all of this, tangent aside, is that work-life balance, work-life fitness balance isn't possible if you can't spot the burnout. It's simple, y'all. If you feel drained, if you're not able to cope with life, if you can't sleep, if you're sad, angry, irritable, you don't care, you're benefiting from substances like alcohol more often than you should, this can lead to a lot of mental health issues, internal health issues, and it predisposes you to be ill. And the result is, if you're pushing through these activities, it's going to be really difficult to engage, feel normal, feel any source or sense of meaning and purpose, because you're trying to go against every sign in your body that is telling you to slow down, to stop what you're doing, and to do what you really need to do, which is number 7, like we talked about, is rest. If you're like, Gina, but I'm doing all of these things that I have to do, this is what's really important. And this is kind of like your homework section of today's episode. Write down a list of things you need to do versus things that you want to do versus things that you have to do. There's 3 very different categories here of things that are going on in our life. Then I want you to sit down with yourself and write down what your professional goals are. Really think about what you want to achieve in your work life. Then I want you to write down what your personal goals are. Who do you want to be? What kind of person do you want to be portrayed and known for? What do you want in your personal life? What do you want it to look like? What do you want to feel like? And then write down your health and fitness goals. You've already thought about how you want to feel, okay? And then what do you want from that? From those workouts, how do you want to feel? What do you want to accomplish? Is there a type of workout you want to do that you haven't been ready to do? And then really find the time, after writing all these goals down, to reevaluate that detailed timeline schedule you did in step number 1 and see how different those 2 schedules look. Because at first you thought you were writing a detailed timeline of everything that was initially a priority. But now there are 3 categories to priorities, and you're focusing this timeline on you and not other people. And just compare the 2 and see how different they look. And then you can start to fill those holes and find time to do the things like travel, special events coming up, any particular deadlines, and then you can reverse engineer what has to get done, the non-negotiables in your professional life, the non-negotiables in your personal life, like a friend's wedding, an upcoming event, a birthday, and then you can pursue your own health and fitness. And you will realize over time, when you do these steps, that this is not a linear line to success. Success is not a linear path, and it's not in health and fitness either. It's going to ebb and flow just like everything else will in your life. There is no magic formula for work-life balance and work-life fitness balance. There are going to be periods of time where you grind and you kill it in the gym and you feel good. And there are other times where you're going to have to realize when your life goes awry and you have to go to plan B or C, those backup plans, instead of going to the gym, could include simply going for a walk, taking a yoga class, like changing the narrative around what you think you're supposed to do in the gym to get results, and then realize, like we've talked about before, less is more when your programming is done correctly. Because you can't sustain 5, 6, 7 days a week in the gym, 2-a-days. You can't live your life like that, nor should you have to. If you're working out that much, you're not doing something right. Your programming is not correct. Your nutrition is not correct. It's time to really reevaluate who you are, where you want to go, and is your life truly serving what sets your soul on fire and makes you a genuinely whole, happy person? That is how you find work-life fitness balance. Is that really learning to stop treating these things as things that you just want to be able to boast about and check off your to-do list. Really take the time to really evaluate who you are, where you're going, what you want to become, and then align your fitness with that person. And that will be the game changer for you and how you transform your life, mind, body, and soul. All right, y'all, stay tuned and we will chat soon.